Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's jump to our next data type, that is strings. Strings are just a sequence of characters. To define out strings in Python, we have to use single quotation marks or double quotation marks. Anything we write inside this single or double quotation marks are regarded as a string. Now, if we can see, whenever we have used a print function to display anything in the screen, in the output screen, we use print, and inside of that we write in double quotes whatever we want to display out. So to display out any string literal, we use the print function. Now, in this section of string, we are going to look into string indexing also. What do we mean by string indexing is if we want to get and view each and every character that is present in a string is nothing. Let's say example, we take a string Paul, P-A-U and L, and if you want to get each and every element of the full string Paul, we have to just call out each by each from its index. The index starts from 0, that is P belongs to 0, A is then 1, U is again 2, and L is 3. If you want to move from the right hand side, then we are going to start from -1, -2, -3, -4. There's one more example over here we can see is prop. In prop, we are having index. If you want to move from left to right, we are starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to move from right to left, we are just, that is from the backward side, we are having -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. That is string indexing. And then we are going to look into string slicing. What we mean by slicing is if you want a particular character or particular word out of the complete string, we can use string slicing method. Just as if we have a big cake and we want a slice of it for ourselves, the same thing is applied over here. We have a very big string. Over here we have amazing, and from amazing, if we want each and every character, we will slice it from index 0 and till 7. Okay, so 7 is the highest limit, it will always take one less than that. Same thing if we want AMA, so we are going to start from 0, then move into 1, and then move into 2. So we have from 0 to 3, that is 3 will be the higher limit. Before 3, whatever we are having, it will be the slice we need. So from word 0 to 3, it will return as AMA. So we are going to look into all of these in our coding segment. So let's jump into our Jupyter notebook to have a quick view and a hands-on view on all of these. Hi, let's start with renaming it to string. Okay. And let's disable the header from view, toggle header, and then toggle toolbar. Now, as we looked in our presentation before, that to define out a string, we need to write something in single quotation or double quotation. So anything you write inside single quotation, let's say Paul. Paul is a string. Same thing you can do for single quotation also. Let's say hello. Hello is again a string. Now how to check it out, as we have looked into our previous old videos, that if we pass out the type function type, and inside of it if we pass any object, let's say hello, it will return me back whichever it belongs to, whichever data type it belongs to. Same thing you can use is instance for it. And if I pass out any string into it, let's say for now I'm going to pass hello itself, and if I pass str, it will just return if it is a string or not. Same thing you can check it out if we pass out number, no, it isn't a string. So that's how we can define out a string. Okay, now a very important thing is what is the difference between single quotes and double quotes. The basic difference between both of them is actually they don't have any much difference. It's totally depends upon your use case. When I talk about the use case, what I meant is, let's say I have a sentence, hey, I am, let's say I am coding. So I want this to be in single quotes. If I start a single quote over here and end a single quote over here, and if I execute it, there will be a syntax error. Why exactly this is happening is because when we are starting from the start of before h with a single quotation mark, and in between our sentence there is one more single quotation mark. So what is happening is our interpreter is defining it that this is the end of the sentence. Okay, but eventually this is the end of the sentence, that is after g the single quotation mark. So in this kind of scenario, what we can do is we can have double quotation and it will be acting out the same thing. If you want a double quotation in between, then hey, and then if you want to display out double quotations, hey hello, you can have the same thing. So this is again a string. If you want to print it out, you just have to write print and add it into the print block, and it should be acting just fine. If you want to display double quotation mark, then you can just use single quotation marks. Now that we have known upon how to have single line statements, let's look into if we want to assign some value to a variable. Let's say I have name equal to, and if I want to assign some value to this variable, I'm just going to write out, let's say Paul. Now if I print Paul, you can see that successfully a name Paul has been printed out. Now if I want multi-line statements or multi-line strings, what I meant by this is, let's say name equal to, I need a very large sentence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give 3 lines. Okay, and inside of it, whatever I can write, hey, this is sorry, there's a typo, this is a multi-line string value. Okay, now let's print out name, print name. Now make sure one thing, that whenever I'm calling out name, okay, I'm calling out the variable. If I put this in double quotes, it will be taking this as a string and it will just display name. Okay, so let's call out the variable without the quotation marks, and you can see that I am having the value of whatever I have written inside this. These are multi-line string values. Okay, now that we have known everything about string values, what is a string value? Now let's start with indexing in strings. Let's name it as indexing in strings. Now if we want each and every character of a string value, how to get or how to index it up? Now let's check our notes. So this is the notes for Python strings. You have all the theory that is needed to get more deeper into Python strings. Now here's an example for indexing in strings. Okay, so we have a string named hello world, and if you want to print out the string, we can just print it out hello world. Now this is how you can index out a string, and string starts from 0 index and ends whatever the size of it might be. So let's look into a new example. So I want to have my name equal to, let's write Paul as of now. And if you want to index it out, so as I've told you that if I check name, let's print out name for checking out if it is working fine. Now yeah, Paul is successfully working fine. Now if I want to index it, it's quite easy. You just have to write the index number in square braces. So it starts from 0. So at name of 0 we have P, at name of 1 we have A, same thing, name of 2 equals to U, and at the last we have name of 3, that is L. This is known as indexing of string. Now as we have looked into our presentation format, when we are looking exactly into the presentation part, we looked at we can also move from the right hand side, that is from the back of it. So let's display name again. Okay, so Paul has been successfully displayed out. Now if I want to index it from the right hand side, that is from the back side, so I'm going to do something like this, name, and inside this square bracket I'm gonna write -1. -1 stands for the rightmost, that is at the end, the last digit whichever we are having. Same thing if I do for name, -2, name, -3, name, -4. Okay, so that is how you can index it from the backhand side. Okay. That is all about indexing. If there's any string, it can be indexed. Okay, so if you want any character of a string, you can just recreate it by indexing it. Okay, a very important thing that you should be knowing out, that strings are immutable. What I meant by immutable is, if you try to assign anything, let's say I want to at index number 0 I have p. If I try to assign some other character, let's say h, so there will be a type error. Why? You can see that string object does not support item assignment, so you cannot assign anything. So this property is known as immutable. Strings are immutable. You cannot assign anything to a previously defined string. Okay, you can always create out a new string by just changing out the name of it, but you cannot change out an old string. Okay, that's all about indexing. Let's move into string slicing. Let's rename this segment as string slicing, and let me create some new cells. Again, how to create out a new cell? Just we have to move into navigation mode and BBB, and it will just create new cells just below of whichever cell I have selected out. Now, what do I mean by string slicing? Let's take an example of a cake. You are in your birthday party and you have a big cake around that, and you want a piece of it. So you're going to take the knife, cut out a slice of the cake, and probably going to eat it up. Same thing happens over here. We have a very big word or very big sentence, and from that sentence you need a particular word. Then you can use string slicing. Now, how do string slicing works? Let's look into this. So I have a string, let's say s equal to hello world, and let's print out s. So again, as we can see that name s is not defined because there's a typo, we have to take small s. So it successfully has been displayed that hello world. Now, how to slice it up? So s, again square braces. In the square brackets, we are going to start with low and end. What do I mean by low is from where should the indexing should be start out. So I want to start from index number 0 and take everything till index number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so I will be getting out hello. So what exactly is happening over here is I'm telling my interpreter that from 0 we are going to start out, that is from index number 0 in s. So what we have in s 0 we have h, and at s5 we are going to end. So at s5 we have a white space over here, so we are going to stop before that. Okay, just make a note of this, that we are going to stop before that, not over there but before that. So we are getting hello. Same thing we can do if we just want hell, let's say from 0, and I want till 4, and I'll just get out the word hell. One more important thing that you can just shorten it out. You don't have to write 0 if you are starting out with that. Okay, you can just keep it blank and it will be working just fine. But if you want to start it from index number 1 or 2, you have to mention out 1 or 2. Okay, by default it will take 0. A very quick tip for you guys: if you want to reverse a string, then you don't have to write very big fancy code for it. You can reverse a string just by writing 2 colon and -1. Let me show you. Let's display again print s. Now if I want to reverse it, it's quite easy. Just in square bracket you have to put 2 colon and -1. Successfully it will just get reversed back. That's it for this session. In our next session we are going to look into string concatenation and string methods.